Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving into a book that a lot of you might have read or at least heard of, Dork Diaries, Tales from a Not-So-Fabulous Life by Rachel Renee Russell. It's the first book in a pretty popular series, and I'm excited to dig into it.
Yeah, this one's a classic.
Yeah.
And the format's really fun, too. It's all told through diary entries from the main character, Nikki Maxwell. Plus, there are drawings sprinkled throughout.
Oh, yeah, those doodles.
Yeah.
I always love when books do that. It really adds to the whole experience.
Yeah.
Right? So before we get too deep, can you give us a quick rundown of the plot? What's this not-so-fabulous life all about?
Well, Nikki's starting 8th grade, which is already a recipe for disaster, but to make things even worse, she's at a brand new school, Westchester Country Day. It's like this super fancy private school, and she's only there because of her dad.
What, her dad works there?
Kinda.
Hey.
He's an exterminator, and part of his deal with Westchester is that his daughters can go there tuition free, which is amazing in theory, but for Nikki, it's like the ultimate embarrassment.
Oh, man. I can only imagine. Trying to fit in at a new school is hard enough without having your dad show up in an exterminator van.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for Nikki. In the first few chapters, she's convinced that the only way to be popular is to have a cell phone like all the cool kids.
The classic teenage dilemma. But I'm guessing she doesn't get the phone.
Nope. Instead, she gets a diary from her mom as a gift. Not exactly the high-tech status symbol she was hoping for.
So that diary, well, I'm assuming that becomes pretty important to the story.
You got it. That's how we get Nikki's whole perspective. It's where she vents about everything, the new school, her embarrassing family, and especially this girl, Mackenzie Hollister.
The queen bee. Every school has one.
Right.
What makes this Mackenzie character so awful?
Yeah, she's your typical mean girl. Designer clothes a posse of equally stylish minions and an attitude that could sour milk. She's rich, popular, and makes it her mission to torment Nikki, especially after they both decide to enter the school's art competition.
So we've got Nikki desperate to fit in, but kind of failing, and then Mackenzie who's determined to make her life miserable. Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, Nikki decides to avoid a showdown with Mackenzie in the art competition and signs up to be a library assistant instead. Figured she could hide out amongst the bookshelves.
A solid plan? Does it work?
Not quite. She meets these two girls in the library, Chloe and Zoe, and they bond over their mutual hatred for Mackenzie. But these two, they're not exactly innocent bystanders. They come up with this crazy scheme to get the librarian's attention.
Okay, I have a feeling this scheme doesn't involve just reading a lot of books. What do?
They get these temporary tattoos that are book-themed, thinking it'll make them stand out.
Yeah.
But their parents are totally against it. They even consider running away to New York City to enter some library contest.
Whoa, that escalated quickly. So do they actually run away?
Luckily, Nikki steps in before things get that far. She's actually a really good artist and offers to draw the tattoos for them.
Nikki, the unlikely hero. This whole tattoo thing has to have some consequences, though, right? I mean, this is Dork Diaries. Things rarely go smoothly.
You're telling me word gets out about Nikki's artistic skills and all of a sudden she's the most popular girl in school. Everyone wants a tattoo from her. She even starts this whole project where people can earn a tattoo by donating books to charity.
So her attempt to lay low totally backfires and launches her into the spotlight. Talk about ironic. But we all know popularity can be fleeting. What happens when the tattoo craze dies down?
Well, that's when things get a little messy. Chloe and Zoe, now that they're popular, start acting differently. They're pressuring Nikki to do more and more tattoos, overbooking her and taking advantage of her skills.
Oof, that's the worst. It's like they're using her. How does Nikki handle that?
She tries to go with it for a while, but eventually just becomes too much. She feels totally used and overwhelmed, so she makes a big decision. She quits the whole tattoo business.
Good for her. Standing up for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means losing a bit of that popularity. But quitting the tattoos can't solve all her problems, can it? What about Mackenzie and the art competition?
You're right. There's definitely more drama to come. And that art competition that Nikki skipped, it's still looming in the background. And things are about to get really interesting with that.
Okay, so that art competition. It sounds like it's about to become a bigger deal.
Yeah, it is. And remember how Nikki had a feeling this was going to be the worst year ever? Well, it really starts to live up to that prediction in the next few chapters.
Oh no. What happens that makes things so bad?
It's like a whole series of unfortunate events. First, she's late for school and has to get a ride from her dad in the exterminator van.
Oh no, the humiliation. I can just imagine her trying to shrink down in her seat as they pull up to the school.
Yeah, it's not pretty. And then to make matters worse, Nikki accidentally ruins her art project. Right in front of Mackenzie, of course. Who does not miss the opportunity to rub it in?
Oof. So what does Mackenzie do?
Oh, she makes fun of Nikki's artwork and then throws in a snide comment about her dad being an exterminator. just to twist the knife a little deeper.
That's rough. I mean, being a teenager is hard enough without having to deal with that kind of bullying.
Tell me about it.
Mhm.
But it actually gets even worse for poor Nikki.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
What else could possibly go wrong?
Okay, so she gets caught in a downpour and is completely soaked. Then she finds her locker vandalized with graffiti. They even call her Bug Girl.
Oh my gosh, that's awful. It sounds like she's officially reached her breaking point.
Yeah, she has. She feels totally defeated and runs to the office begging her parents to let her transfer schools.
I mean, you can blame her. After everything she's been through, I'd want to escape that environment too.
Right, and her parents agree to take her out of Westchester. They even go to the school the next day to finalize the paperwork. But as they're leaving, something totally unexpected happens.
Okay, there's got to be a twist. What changes Nikki's mind?
Well, she's walking by the art display and stops to see who won the competition. And to her complete surprise, it's not Mackenzie's artwork that's on display.
Wait, so whose art is it? Don't tell me it's Nikki's. She didn't even enter.
It is Nikki's, but not the project she started. It's this beautifully arranged collection of photos showcasing all the tattoos she created for her classmates.
Hold on, how did that even happen? She gave up on the competition weeks ago.
It turns out her friends, the real ones, not the fake popular kind, secretly stepped in to make sure her talent was recognized.
Seriously, that's amazing.
It was Brandon's idea. He's that sweet guy who's always been nice to Nikki. He took pictures of all of her tattoo designs because he knew they were something special.
Oh, that is so thoughtful. It seems like he really sees her for who she is, not just where she fits in the school's social ladder. What about Chloe and Zoe? Were they involved too?
They were. They felt bad about how they treated Nikki when they were all caught up in being popular, so they helped Brandon put together the whole photo display and even added a sign that gave Nikki full credit for the artwork.
That's awesome. It sounds like they finally learned a valuable lesson about true friendship. So how does Nikki react to all of this?
She's totally overwhelmed with emotion. Seeing that act of kindness and realizing that she has people who genuinely care about her makes her rethink her decision to leave.
It sounds like a real turning point for her. She went from feeling totally defeated to having this incredible moment of validation, all thanks to real friends. What does she decide to do?
She rips up the transfer papers and tells her parents she's staying at Westchester.
I knew it. It takes a lot of courage to face those challenges, especially after such a horrible day.
Yeah.
So what happens next? Does she confront Mackenzie?
Well, the book ends on a more hopeful note. Nikki decides to embrace her dorkiness and starts to develop feelings for Brandon. They even have this cute moment where he asks her to be his lab partner in biology, which might seem small, but for Nikki, it's a pretty big deal.
So she decides to stay at Westchester. Huh? It's interesting how quickly she changes her mind. It seems like that art show really had a big impact on her.
Oh, yeah. It was a total game changer. For the first time, she realizes that she's not alone in this, you know? Those fake popular friends were awful, but seeing Brandon, Chloe, and Zoe go out of their way to support her, that really made a difference.
Yeah, it showed her that they valued her for who she was, not just for her ability to draw tattoos.
Exactly. And that kind of validation, I think that's something everyone needs, especially when you're a teenager trying to figure things out. It gives you the strength to keep going even when things are tough.
It's like that act of kindness gave her the courage to face those challenges at Westchester, knowing that she had people in her corner.
Right. And it's not just about avoiding Mackenzie. It's about choosing to embrace those things that make her unique, even the dorky parts.
Yeah. Throughout the book, we see Nikki constantly comparing herself to the popular kids, wishing she could be more like them. But in the end, she realizes that being true to herself is way more important.
It's a great message for young readers, especially those who might be feeling lost or out of place. It's like, hey, it's okay to be different. In fact, it's what makes you special.
And that's what seems to attract Brandon to her. He's not interested in those superficial things. He sees Nikki for who she really is.
Yeah, Brandon, he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about popularity. He just treats everyone with respect. And he clearly admires Nikki's creativity and her willingness to be herself.
It's a good reminder that those qualities, kindness and a genuine heart, those are things worth looking for, whether it's in a friend or a romantic partner.
Absolutely. And their connection shows that you don't have to change who you are to find someone who appreciates you. It's often those quirks that make us attractive to others.
Well said. So Nikki ends up staying at Westchester. She starts to embrace her dorkiness and even starts developing feelings for Brandon. It sounds like a happy ending.
It is. And even though it's a lighthearted, fun book, I think there's a deeper message there about self-acceptance and the importance of true friendship.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a really fun dive into Dork Diaries. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep being your awesome dorky selves.